Hello, this is the Aussie Arahan. What you are listening to is part of a research stream series about Buddhism. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the Wikipedia page Glossary of Buddhism. And the challenge I have set for myself is to work through every word here A to Z and see what I can learn. So the word we are looking at today is this one. So, Adhigamadharma. Is that how you pronounce it? Adhigamadharma. Alright, so that's our word. I'm going to open my notes. So let's look at the components here. We've got Adi, Gama, and Dharma. So Adhigamadharma. And the description here is realized Dharma. So that's where we're starting from. So we can note there is no linked Wikipedia page. So I'm going to have to Google this. There's very scant information on here. So we've got the AI overview, but what I've found is often it gets things wrong, especially when there's very little information to be found online. So, but the good news is here there seem to be a few articles talking about this. Let's have a look at this Encyclopedia of Buddhism article. So we got Adhigamadharma, or Dharma of realization, is one of the two types of true Dharma, Sadharma, the other being Dharma of transmission. So, Adhigamadharma. Adhigamadharma is the practice of Dharma, often identified in the context of the threefold training of the training in higher discipline, which is the subject matter of the Vinaya collection, the training in higher meditation, which is the subject matter of the Sutra collection, the training in higher wisdom, which is the subject matter of the Abhidharma collection. So this concerns the Tripitaka. So, Tripitaka. So I'll look this one up, and I've talked about this quite extensively on this channel before. So the Tripitaka means three baskets and refers to the complete collection of early Buddhist scriptures divided into the Vinaya, monastic rules, the Sutta, Buddha's discourses, and the Abhidharma, philosophical analysis basket. So they're the more scholarly, research-oriented texts. So we note here, it is the practice of Dharma identified in the context of the threefold training of the Tripitaka. So, could it be said, we're talking about realized Dharma, so that's this is sort of like the practical application of it. So we've got the Adhigamadharma, and I want to know, because we've got, the Adhi and Abhi. So we've got, don't know what the difference between those are, Abhi and Adhi. So that's my first question. What do the prefixes Adhi and Abhi so I'm going to change this to what are the differences between the prefixes Adi and Abi. I know one means above in the sense of, for example, you might use it in the sort of meaning of higher teachings. That would be Abi, as in Abhidharma. So we got that there. But yeah, so this is the Adhi. I'm wondering if Abhi is like higher teachings and Adhi is like, I don't know, higher practices, higher behavior, something like that. That's my guess. I don't know if it's a good one. But yeah, let's have a look at some of the references here. So we got some books, Dharma of Realization from, it's citing another wiki, which is at Rigpa Shedra. It is a Tibetan Buddhist wiki. So once again, it just says the same thing. The Dharma of Realization is the threefold higher training. So my second question is, are there different kinds of Dharma? And we call it Dharma here. I often see it represented as Dhamma, like this. I assume they're the same concept, just spelt differently. Probably the difference between Sanskrit and Pali. But yeah, here's the Dharma of Realization, the threefold higher training. So, further reading. Kenpo Nguyen Paozang, A Guide to the Words of My Perfect Teacher. What is that book? That has a cool title. Oh, okay. It's a text by, Kenpo that elaborates on the words of my perfect teacher. So it's a guide to the words of my perfect teacher. So what's the words of my perfect teacher? It was composed by the great Nyingma master Patrul Rinpoche. The work is an explanation of the Longchen Nyingtik Ngondro, the preliminary practices from the Longchen Nyingtik cycle of teachings discovered by Jigme Lingpa. This famous commentary is a completely faithful written record of the oral teachings Patrul Rinpoche. I think it might be Rinpoche. So Patrul Rinpoche received directly from his teacher Jigme Gyalwai Nyugu. Okay, so who's that? So the words of my perfect teacher. Yeah, alright. So it's about this guy, Jigme. Is that where, let's have a look here. So it's cited from there. So, and what did we just read about that? It's from the Longchen Nyingtik. Let's open that one. What is that? Nyingma. What is Nyingma? An ancient school of Tibetan Buddhism. The name given to the followers of those original translations of the teachings of the Buddha into Tibetan, which were carried out up until the time of the Indian translator Smerjanakirti in the late 10th century. Okay, so yeah, we're back in Tibetan Buddhism land again. So that cites this. So it's a wiki citing a wiki, and a wiki citing a book. So I have no idea if the book actually says any of this, but if we call it the Dharma of Realization, so the Adhigamadharma, then yes, that's what that is. Seems to be the practical application of the Tripitaka. So I'm going to write this down here. It seems to be the practical application of the Tripitaka. calls it the threefold higher training. So the Vinaya Sutra Abhidharma. So once again, you got your monastic rules. You got your, it's a sort of collection of sayings, sometimes stories about the Buddha and the Abhidharma. So threefold higher training. Okay, so let's go back here. Realized Dharma. Was there anything else here? So, yeah, we found that in the Encyclopedia of Buddhism. There's other resources here. Where is it? Encyclopedia of Buddhism. We're back at that Wisdom Library site. It's worth having a look at this, but yeah, I learned during my last video that they post some incorrect stuff on here, or at least dubious stuff. So, a Sanskrit dictionary, Adhigamadharma, can be associated with the following Chinese terms: realized truth, realization, witness. Okay, so full text. Are these the texts that this appears in? So, realized truth, or these might be translations. So, Chinese Buddhism, Zheng Fa, the correct doctrine of the Buddha. Alright, so I'm not going to get too stuck in the weeds there. We've got the Glossary of Buddhism page that we're working on. So is this the same term? I didn't get, is it spelled slightly differently? Let's open it up, see what it says. So Adhigamadharma. So instead of the Abhi, we got the Gamadharma. Adhigamadharma. Alright, scriptural Dharma, one of the two divisions of the Dharma or teaching of the Buddha, together with realized Dharma. That's only a partial definition. So realized Dharma is, that's from the Princeton Dictionary of Buddhism. So yeah, it's very likely that's what that is, realized Dharma. So, okay. I'm thinking this is probably pretty solid. I am interested in this text here and also the guide. So, but Nyingma, I think it comes from Nyingma. So we can go, so Tibetan Buddhism, Nyingma. It's kind of like ancient Tibetan Buddhism. And I want to have a look here then. So, do I have any more questions before I move on? I want to try and confirm this. I'll see if there's anything more. Oxford reference. Adhigamadharma. So that seems more in line. The Dharma as personal realization, or as the content of enlightenment, the body. Used in contrast with Adhigamadharma, or the Dharma as a body of knowledge transmitted through the scriptures. So, okay, I guess Adhigamadharma is different. Yeah, so Adhigamadharma, is that related to the Abhidharma? So we go back up here, we got the Abhidharma. It's the category of scriptures. It's the third basket in the Tripitaka. And yeah, it's sort of like all of the academic, well, you wouldn't call it academic, the monastic writings, the scholarly writings about the Buddha. So, and Yeah, okay, so that's Adhi. But this says Adhigamadharma. I don't know if Abhi has a different connotation. So I guess this goes into our first question. What are the differences between the prefixes Adi and Abhi? So I'll just punch that into Google. Okay, so in Sanskrit, Adi and Abhi are both common prefixes, upasajas, that can sometimes overlap in meaning, but generally they differ in their primary focus. Adi usually implies superior, upward, or internal position, where Abhi signifies direction towards, in front of, or intensity. Okay, so where is that coming from? Sanskrit prefixes in Hindi. Yep, so there's Wiktionary. Yeah, that might be okay. So prefix Adi, primary meanings above, over, upon, on top of, superior. Then there's prefix Abhi, which is to, towards, in front of, facing, direct movement, facing, or against. So I guess if I go back to here and I just use let's say the Abhidharma Pitaka, right? So that's Adi. Adi is sort of like, what is it? Towards, facing. Let's try that. Towards, facing. It has other meanings, but so implies direct movement. So new, fresh, novel. So Abhinava. Oh, there's a few usages there. Okay. Towards, facing. What is the Gama prefix? So that's gamma in the Greek alphabet. What is this? Sanskrit. So I think it is Sanskrit because yeah. Gamma means going, moving, or reaching. So reaching, going towards. Okay, so the Adi. I think we see where this is going. What is it? Going towards the Dharma, to the teachings. So that's my translation. It's not a very good translation, but I think we're sort of getting an essence there. Something like going towards the Dharma. Whereas Abhi is above. This is teachings. It's saying it's not just above, it also means like the highest teachings. So there's a few ways of understanding that. Abhidharma and the Abhidharma Pitaka. But yeah, generally these are the highest teachings, the highest discourses of the Buddha. So, alright, so that's my answer for that one. And this isn't 100% cut and dry, but I think it'll do for now. And Abhidharma, Abhi is above or highest. So just for our purposes, I'm not an expert in linguistics or Sanskrit or Pali, but as far as I can tell, that's what the differences between these two mean. Are there different kinds of Dharma or Dhamma? So that's my next question, and let's have a look at this one. Yes, there are many kinds of Dharma, encompassing universal moral laws, personal duties based on life stage and role, and specific codes for different situations, all within Hinduism, Buddhism, and Vedic traditions. And there's a bunch there. So we got the Sanatana Dharma, eternal duty, Svadharma, Varnashrama, duty by social class stage. Alright, so yeah, it's linking the Wikipedia page and to a couple of other pages, including Britannica. But when I ask this question, I often see things referred to as the Dhamma. So what is the Dhamma? I'm going to punch this in and see if it sort of sorts it out there. Okay, kind of Dharma. What is the Dhamma in the Buddhist context? In Buddhism, Dhamma is often used to describe the true nature of things or the way things are. It is one of the three jewels, triple gem, in which Buddhists take refuge. So, alright. So, Dharma. Definition of Dharma. Okay, so it does not have a single clear translation and conveys a multifaceted idea. That's not helpful, but it does explain why it's kind of confusing. In Hinduism, Dharma denotes behavior that is considered to be in accord with Rita, the order and custom that makes life and universe possible. So there's this sort of conformity with the way things are. Alright, duties, laws, conduct, virtues, and ethics to form the righteous way of living. In Buddhism, Dharma refers to the teachings of the Buddha, to the true nature of reality which the teachings point to. Okay, in Buddhist philosophy, Dharma is a term for specific phenomena and the ultimate truth. Okay, so there's a little bit of a linguistic confusion here then, because I'm reading about these different kinds of Dharma. So let's have a look. Where were we here? So the Adhigamadharma. So this is the Dharma of realization. It's a type of Dharma. We could say that Dharma are kind of like rules of conduct that help us sort of attune ourselves to reality. Is that a good way of putting it? I'm not sure, but let's go back to that one. The Dharma of realization. But there is a difference between, so other different kinds of Dharma. What is the Dhamma? Okay, so in Buddhism, the Dhamma is reality. How things are, what the teachings point to. Now, I just want to get this. It refers to the teachings of the Buddha. So I'll put it like that. So it refers to the teachings of the Buddha and the true nature of reality, which the teachings point to. I quite like that. Okay, so Dhamma is also the term for specific phenomena and for ultimate truth. Alright, so I guess we're talking about Hinduism, how it denotes behaviour, but also Dharma refers to an individual's moral responsibilities or duties. So that could be coming from Hinduism and the Vedic traditions, but it's also in Buddhism by the sounds of it. We're talking about Tibetan Buddhism here. So Dharma refers to an individual's moral responsibilities or duties. So we've got that, and we've got the Dharma of realization. So, could it be said that the Dharma of realization is our moral responsibility or duty to, and I guess when we mean realization, it means a couple of things. So we've got realization in the sense that we become aware of something. Realization. We become aware of something. But I think this definition here means something more like manifesting or bringing something into reality. Right, so we look at realization definition. What is it? An act of becoming fully aware of something as a fact, but also the achievement of something desired or anticipated. He did not leave to see the realization of his dream. I actually really like that definition. And it is similar to what I wrote for the second one here. So the achievement of something desired or anticipated. Manifesting, bringing something into reality. So this is a law. This is a moral responsibility or duty to bring these things into practice. This is discipline, meditation, and wisdom. Okay, training in higher discipline, training in higher meditation, training in higher wisdom. So, pop that there, that there, and that there. All right, and note that these are connected very directly to the Buddhist scriptures. We got the training in higher discipline is the realization of the lessons found in the Vinaya, the rules and regulations for Buddhist monastics. The training in higher meditation is the realization of the lessons of the sutras. So, discourses attributed to the Buddha or one of his close disciples speaking under the Buddha's authority. So these are sometimes described as collections of sayings or stories about the Buddha. The training in higher wisdom, Abhidharma, which is this is the third basket of the Tripitaka. This is all of the scholarly writings that sort of analyse the Buddha's system of philosophy. His views on everything from metaphysics to ethics to all of his sort of prescriptive things that he tells us to do. So his philosophy, in other words. So discipline, meditation, and wisdom. Okay, so we can think of these as sort of so realizing, so bringing into reality. So the lessons or theory of the Tripitaka. I think that's a pretty good definition based off what we know of this. Was there more on here? I'm not sure. A guide to the words of my perfect teacher. So, okay. All right. So that was a bit of a roundabout way to sort of get to sort of an understanding of that. But if we go back to our glossary here, and I'm going to offer a recap here. It feels quite early in the video yet. I'd like to extend it a bit longer. But if I were to give a recap if I were to give a summary for what we've learned, so the Adhigamadharma, realized Dharma, is, okay, it is these sort of practical realizations, the bringing into reality the lessons or theory of the Tripitaka. So our training in higher discipline, our training in higher meditation, and our training in higher wisdom, each of those correspond to the Vinaya, the Sutras, and the Abhidharma, respectively. So we could think of those as an individual's moral responsibilities or duties. And yeah, so when we're talking about the Dharma or the Dhamma, as you want to, whichever way you want to say it, it refers to the teachings of the Buddha and the true nature of reality, but also you've got these sort of elements of it that are an individual's moral responsibilities and duties. And there seems to be dharmas of all different kinds, especially if you look past Buddhism. Okay, this one is the Dharma of realization. So, yeah, so we briefly covered this Adi and Abhi thing. Adi means towards, facing, while Abhi means above, highest. I think our sort of breakdown here was going towards the Dharma. So, and yeah, this seems most crucial to Tibetan Buddhism, particularly the Nyingma school. So I'm going to close a bunch of tabs here. I want to leave this Nyingma school tab open, and we're just going to have a read of this. So we're on the Rigpa Shedra website. This is a Tibetan Buddhism wiki. So we got Nyingma, the Nyingma, or ancient school of Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah, so it's the name given to the followers of those original translations of the teachings of the Buddha into Tibetan. Okay, so this is, could you call this kind of a, well, I wouldn't say a translation cult, but they're putting special emphasis on this translation. So the original translations of the teaching of the Buddha into Tibetan. I guess if you're Tibetan, that's the language they read. And yeah, there's an Indian translator in the 10th century who seemed to be the end of that, or he might have been the last sort of scholar they read. So the earlier transition school. Alright, so that's a bit wordy. I'm going to try and just search this and see what comes up. So we've got the Wikipedia page, we've got the Rigpa wiki. Is that the one we're looking at there? Yep. Then you've got the Kagyu office, Buddhism in Tibet. So I might try a couple of different websites here because I don't want to rely on Wikipedia for everything. So what's the Karmapa? So I'm not sure what this website is. Let's have a look. The Karmapa Kagyu office. So a short biography of the early years of the 17th Karmapa, Ogden Trinley Dorje, and the lineage of Karmapas that came before him. So let's have a look. What is a Karmapa? Alright, the spiritual head of the Karma Kagyu school, one of the major lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. Alright, so he's kind of is he the embodiment of a Buddha's enlightened activity? Does that mean he is a Buddha? Okay, so Ogyen Trinley Dorje is the guy, and that's their official website by the looks of it. So that's the 16th, who lived between 1924 and 1981. So the Karmapa Tulku lineage of the Gyawa Karmapa is the oldest among the major incarnating lineages. Okay, the one who carries out Buddha activity or the embodiment of all the activities of the Buddha. That's what Karmapa means. There have been 17 Karmapa manifestations. So, oh wow, okay, incarnating lineages. So this is interesting because not only do you have the Dalai Lama, who seems to be the most famous figure of this kind, we've got other incarnating lineages. So I'm going to search that. So yeah, in Tibetan Buddhism, trace the rebirths of enlightened beings like the Dalai Lama or the Panchen Lama. Lama. Okay. So yeah, let's have a look. Incarnation lineage. So we've got the Gyatsos. Oh, it's got that horrid purple text which comes up sometimes when you search. So, and yeah, so what is it? We're talking about the incarnation lineage of the Dalai Lama. So, Sonam Gyatso was the first to bear the title Dalai Lama, a line of successfully reincarnating teachers in Tibetan Buddhism. So, and there's others, the first and the second, and the fifth, and it went all the way up to our current guy. So, the 14th Dalai Lama, what was his name before he became the Dalai Lama? It's still his name, I think. So, born Lamo Fondup, full spiritual name, Jetsun Jamphel Ngwang Lopsang Yeshe Tenzin Gyatso, shortened as Tenzin Gyatso. So, yeah, Sonam Gyatso was the first. So, yeah, and it's interesting how they decide who the next Dalai Lama is. How did they decide on him? I can't remember the full story, but I remember, I think they found him in a village somewhere. And there's talk over the 15th Dalai Lama. There's sort of political decisions behind it. I think China is trying to influence who the next Dalai Lama is. So, you know, the choice, yeah, it's very odd. I'd like to research that more. So we got these incarnation lineages from Sonam Gyatso, but I found another one. So, Ogyen Trinley Dorje, right? These are the Karmapas. Right, that's his website. Anyway, I got distracted here because, so the Karmapa website. We're talking about the Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism. Traces its origins back to the Buddha Samantabhadra, Vajrasattva, and Garab Dorje of Udayana. Okay, the most important source of the Nyingma order is the Indian guru Padmasambhava, the founder of the Nyingma lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, who came to Tibet in the 8th century CE. Alright, so yeah, why did I come here? I've forgotten already. We're just looking up Nyingma school. So, and yeah, I just ended up on this amazing tangent about incarnating lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. So, if I type in here, are there other Buddhists who have incarnation lineages other than the Dalai Lama? And we already know there's one. Yes, there are hundreds of other Buddhist incarnation lineages. known as tulkus or rinpoches in Tibetan Buddhism, many of which predate the Dalai Lama's institution. So, tulku, is that the word for it? Tulkus or rinpoches? I'm saying rinpoche, it's rinpoche. I got to look up the pronunciation of that, because that's one I've been saying. Rinpoche. It's rinpoche.
Rinpoche. Rinpoche.
Actually, I think.
Rinpoche.
Yeah, so Rinpoche. Rinpoche. So, yeah, alright. So, that is. Well, this is it. The reason I'm doing this is so that I learn things like this. But, yeah, Rinpoche. Tulku's Rinpoche. So, I'm going to take out that horrid purple text. I'm not a fan. Tulku system. A tulku is an individual recognised as the reincarnation of a previous spiritual master, a lama, and expected to be reincarnated in turn after death. Okay, so according to the AI, there are hundreds of these. What is a Rinpoche? Okay, a Rinpoche, Tibetan for precious one, a respected honorific title for a highly accomplished or reincarnated Lama. Alright, so go down here. We've got Rinpoche. So Rinpoche is an honorific term used in the Tibetan language. It literally means precious one. It may refer to a person, place or thing, like the words gem or jewel. Okay, so it's a way of showing respect when addressing those recognised as reincarnated, older, respected, notable, yeah, all that. So, alright, tulkus. Tulku is a distinctive and significant aspect of Tibetan Buddhism, embodying the concept of enlightened beings taking corporeal forms to continue the lineage of specific teachings. Alright, so, yeah, we've got the Dalai Lama. The Tulku system is a foundational aspect of all four major schools of Tibetan Buddhism: Gelu, Kagyu, Nyingma and Sakya. So Nyingma is one of those. And 500 plus active lineages. So you've got the Karmapas. Ogyen Trinley Dorje. The Panchen Lamas. And we got the Thai Situpas. So let's have a look here. Panchen Lamas. Panchen Lama is a Tulku. Who's the current one? Is there a current one? The Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama are closely connected, and each participates in the process of recognising each other's reincarnations. So, who is the Panchen Lama? Second highest figure in Tibetan Buddhism, traditionally tasked with identifying the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. However, the 11th Panchen Lama, Gedhun Shokye Nyima, was abducted by Chinese authorities at age 6 in 1995, shortly after the Dalai Lama recognised him, and his whereabouts remain unknown, while China installed its own puppet Panchen Lama, Gyatsen Norbu, creating a significant spiritual and political schism. Wow, that is fascinating. So, okay, the Panchen Lama, Tibetan Buddhism's second most important leader, not seen in 30 years. Okay, so he was abducted at the age of 6 in 1995, And what did they do? Did they put their own Panchen Lama in there? That's utterly fascinating. Yeah, he was disappeared 3 days later. 30 years on, the whereabouts of his family is still known. Okay. Gedun went missing after the Dalai Lama, spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhists, named in the 11th incarnation of the Panchen Lama. Okay, so they seem to be tasked with recognising each other. So that was the 10th. What was that? The 10th. He must have been the 11th. Is that right? Okay. So CCP authorities decried Gedhorn's selection as invalid and illegal, and they chose their own Panchen Lama, Gyaltsen Norbu, who many Tibetan Buddhists refuse to recognise and refer to as an imposter. Okay, so that's fascinating. That's the guy there. The 11th Panchen Lama by the People's Republic of China. Oh wow, I knew nothing about this. I mean, pretty much everything I know about the Dalai Lama's life, I learned from the Martin Scorsese movie Kundun. So that was this one. That was a great movie. Did it talk about this boy? I'm wondering. So he had Tenzin Gyatso, also known as Kundun. Panchen Lama. Was he in this movie? I can't remember. They might not have covered that, but it did talk about the Chinese Communist Party and the sort of relationship that the Dalai Lama had with them, which was fraught with tension, to say the least. I really like this movie. I'm going to watch it again. The film's release greatly angered the Chinese government, which objected to its content and threatened to block distributor Disney from accessing the Chinese market as a result. Disney consequently apologised and limited distribution of the film. Okay, so Panchen Lama. So I think this is this idea of what do we call it? Reincarnation lineages is fascinating. And we've got Karmapa as well. And I guess there must be a structure for all of this, because I'm guessing they all kind of administer things together. But I guess I've got to say the presence of China among all of this tremendously complicates things. So I guess I wanted to look up China and the new Dalai Lama. Let's look this up. So look at this Guardian article, 6 months old. So where are we at with this? Dalai Lama defies China to say successor will be chosen by Tibetan tradition. Okay. Spiritual leader challenges Beijing in a video statement released in run-up to 90th birthday celebrations. I might actually watch this.
I know you're wondering. What next? I see love on your horizon.
I can't seem to skip this ad, but I'll at least turn the microphone off.
Strange new land. The child within you will awaken.
13 seconds.
And you will reach your destiny.
You can tell I'm sort of figuring this out as I go. But I do notice a lot of feedback with the things, but I'm going to turn the mic on.
가달라메 가서 오다 연시사디 지 지주기 미 로마즈 가달라메 가서 오다 연시사디 지 지주기 미 로마즈 지미기 타네 다디 연시시 고도스네 타셔요나 때 다가 타셔셔로다 경호군이 나름 문지 제조 대 자동 거면 나세신 영시 문지기 제거 경구소 달라라메 라장 간대포장 이지계 이지계제 왕대 gen진 남의 여보다 콩즈 표규 남전 추규하게 우주 라신 남보당 경호군이 나름 당 르더 지신 로베 담된 추송 카라 그때 람드 시디 영주 타스 문지 무슨 용유래 셰수가 티슈 미소베 네오를 교가야 매바 제기 꾸기 고메바 가조레 교가야 매바 제 꾸기 이자기 라마 다람살라 다람살네 샤제게노 체모 다랄라마 덴지자즈 표결로 니동자다 나중에 저주 수준배 신주 노스베세 니주 치르 니동주미 니사와 노가베세 니지 로 키워.
So I might leave it there, but yeah, there's a couple of things there. What did he say? The Garden Fodrang Trust. Let's have a look at that. So am I writing that properly? Fodrang. Did it say trust? Is that right? What is that? I'll look it up. It's the official organisation established by the Dalai Lama to manage his affairs, preserve Tibetan culture, support humanitarian and environmental causes, and most significantly to oversee the selection of his future reincarnation. So there's a website for this, the Ganden Fodrang. 1642. Oh, is that the one? The fifth Dalai Lama in 1642. Wow, that's a long time ago. I did not realise the lineage went back that far. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yep. So, is this the same as... So it's a Tibetan system of government. It was founded by... No, I think this foundation is... Or the trust is something different. So his office of the Holiness... The office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and I think it's named after the Gaden Fodrang. It was originally founded in 1518 by the second Dalai Lama. It was registered as a private trust under the Indian Registration Act of 1908. It is dedicated to... So all of his spiritual work, advancing his vision, and the primary responsibility for the recognition of the 15th Dalai Lama shall rest with members of the Gaden Fodrang Trust. And there was another word he used there, and I think the Dharma protectors, the oath-bound Dharma protectors. Who are they? Is that powerful beings in Buddhism, often appearing as wrathful deities who vow to safeguard Buddhist teachings. Is that who he's talking about? The Dharmapala? I'm not sure about that. So, whereas reliable oath-bound Dharma protectors who are linked inseparably to the lineage of the Dalai Lamas. So, I don't think he's talking about a wrathful god somehow, but yeah, there is this trust that's established to sort of determine the next Dalai Lama. So, how is the Dalai Lama chosen? That's the last thing I'm going to look up here. This is, yeah. So I'm going to look at the Britannica entry. How is the Dalai Lama chosen? So, in order to identify a new Dalai Lama who will be considered a reincarnation of the previous Dalai Lama, senior lamas in Tibetan Buddhism observe omens and signs, consult the Netchung oracle, and test candidates by showing them objects belonging to the previous Dalai Lama that the children are supposed to identify. The chosen child undergoes monastic education while a regent administers in the child's place. So there's a little bit of what is this Netchung oracle? It's the oracle priest of Tibet who is consulted on all important locations. So who was the current? No, not that one. That's not what I wanted. Netchung oracle. There we go. The Venerable Thupten Ngodup. So, this fella, yeah, Tibet's national spiritual advisor. Wow. So, that is a really... Look at that outfit. That's really cool. So, okay. So zoom in a little bit. It's a bit pixelated, but yeah, you get the idea. So, all right. So yeah, all right. So that turned from a sort of discussion of the Adhigamadharma and realized Dharma into a discussion about Tibetan Buddhism in general. So, yeah, I guess the thing to know about Adhigamadharma is that, yeah, it's about this sort of realization of the Tripitaka and the lessons within Buddhist scripture, and all it seems to mean is that we train in higher discipline, we train in higher meditation, and we train in higher wisdom. We've also learned that there are these reincarnation lineages. Not only is there the Dalai Lama, there is also the, was it the Panchen Lama? Yeah, the Panchen Lama, and there's also the Karmapas, and there's a lot of reincarnation lineages in Tibetan Buddhism, and yeah, I for one found that really fascinating. If you've so as you can see, it's quite late now. It's 1:46 a.m. I need to go to sleep. But yeah, if you've been listening, thank you. And yeah, I think I've learned something. I hope this has been useful to anybody listening.